Hello all, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to talk about an important topic which has been requested, like most requested topic on my channel. Okay, it's the I think everybody is like putting messages, especially on my previous video which I did, whether like what is A khata, B khata and all those things. So today is going to be a very detailed video. So if you don't have a time or if you want to skip through, then please, I think you pause it or you save this video for later and watch it at leisure, because it's going to be a long video, but also it's going to be something which will make you completely informed about every aspects which is important for buying a property in India, in Karnataka or Bangalore. So all of the topics I'm going to go through, and let's get started with this. So now, and also I'll answer at the end, I'll also answer whether you need to hire a lawyer, or if you're hiring a lawyer, then what are the things which you need to discuss with him or her to ensure that you are protected in every way. And also I'll be discussing on the nature of litigations which crop up on property and stuff, and how you can mitigate the risk, and what are the documents which you need to check, what you should be really looking for. Because whenever you're buying a property, you'll get like a big pile of documents. So understanding the documents and looking for the things what you need to is also very important and crucial before buying a property. Okay, so let's get started. Do you have your cup of coffee or tea, whatever you drink is ready? Then let's go. Okay, so there are few documents which are prerequisite to check. Okay, so if you don't check this, then you are at the great risk. When I say risk, that means there are 50% chances of whether your property is going to end up in litigation or not. Okay, so let's get started. First one, which is very important, which we look at, is the parent deed. Okay, so parent deed is also called as sale deed, or even like gift deed, partition deed, allotment letter. Like many words are there, and even this is also called as Mula Pathra. For those who are interacting with village lands or farm lands and all, that is what you need to do. So that is what you need to first obtain. Okay, so when we get that, you have to make sure that the title has to be like seamless. There should be a flawless flow of the title to the person. Okay, and you have to make sure that there is no ambiguity in this. What do you mean by ambiguity? Ambiguity means like something which is not explicitly written, which is not clearly stated in the document. That is what we call as ambiguous. Okay, so when we say these documents, when we look at it, the Mula Pathra and all those things, the flow of the title is very important to make sure that you are the ultimate owner of the property. If in the title deed, when you're looking at, if there is any ambiguity, or if there is any confusion as to who is the ultimate legal owner of the document, of the property, that is when the litigation begins. And one of the important things which you can achieve from, especially when you're looking at this title deeds, are you have to make sure that you get all the registered deeds which are there pertaining to that particular property. And how can you obtain that? You can obtain that through the registrar office, so whenever you're buying a property, the property has a kind of like a jurisdiction. You have to understand where the properties, where is it going to lie. So where is your registrar office, basically? Who has the jurisdiction on your property? And that's where you need to go, and you need to make sure that you get the earliest registered document on that property. It's based on the survey numbers of the land. Okay, so that's what you need to do. And one of the important things which you can achieve from, especially when you're looking at this title deeds, are you have to make sure that you get all the registered deeds which are there pertaining to that particular property. And how can you obtain that? You can obtain that through the registrar office, so whenever you're buying a property, the property has a kind of like a jurisdiction. You have to understand where the properties, where is it going to lie. So where is your registrar office, basically? Who has the jurisdiction on your property? And that's where you need to go, and you need to make sure that you get the earliest registered document on that property. It's based on the survey numbers of the land. Okay, so that's what you need to do. So when we are talking about the property, the one thing which absolutely blew my mind is the RERA Act. Okay, so before RERA, there were a lot of issues with, especially with the property. Like there were a lot of litigation on so many aspects because nothing was clear and nothing prevented the developers or did nothing penalized the developers for not furnishing certain documents on the timely stage. That was the main issue. And also there were no, like some of the things were not open to even us advocates, like for example the financial aspect. Like yes, we know that the amount is there, but we have no law which safeguarded the buyers from perpetually waiting. Like for example, there were some projects which were just like foundation stage and the buyers have invested and it is not even going to any other further stages because the buyer the promoter would have or developer would have used that money for some other project. So there were like a lot of those things which were happening, and they were not saying that okay, we are not doing the project, but the project used to be like stagnant. They were like not processing further, and there were many instances where the developers actually declared themselves as bankrupt or insolvent in the future because they had used the project money of one project to another project, and then they would have not had anything to proceed further. So there were many of those kind of issues, and that the RERA Act prevented those issues, especially with the usage of one project's money to another. So there's a clause in RERA. Basically, what prevents this is this. There's a clause in RERA where that 70% of the amount which is dedicated for that project has to be kept in a separate bank account, and which has to be used for that project only. And the buyer or the developer or the seller cannot use that money for some other project. So that is one thing which safeguarded the buyer's interests. And also there was another key essential feature of RERA is that all the documents or all the statutory documents which has to be furnished to the buyer has to be furnished. Okay, there's no escaping from it. So before there was no law which was penalizing the developers, or they were not punishing the developers for not giving this kind of documents. And most of the times these documents were the buyer's headache. So they had to get all these documents at their personal expense. But now they are given, like RERA approved projects. With RERA approved projects, you get all those documents, and all the advocate has to do is verify whether it is correct or not, or if there's any discrepancies in that and all that. But it has to be furnished first, right? So that is what is the key essential things, because some of the things were not even accessible. Some of the statutory documents which are now provided under RERA Act was not even accessible for the advocates before. It was that kind of situation, but now it is not that. There's more of accountability and transparency in that. And also there was a separate tribunal which was established to decide the cases which are falling under RERA Act. So there's a fast track mechanism which is applied in that. So already know that the court cases or litigation on the property goes on for a very long time in the courts, but not with RERA. It is much more faster. The decisions are taken much more faster, and there is more binding. And there is also like penalizing. So that is what is important, that if anything is not done as per RERA, the promoter or the developer gets punished for that. And sometimes it's not even the monetary punishment, it is also including the jail term or imprisonment, which actually creates more fear, and make sure that the buyer's interests are more safeguarded. So I'll put a link here to check what kind of projects you have to take. And there are so many, like there's online, especially with the RERA rera.karnataka.gov.in is the website, and you can check the list of projects which are not approved or which are pending approval or which are under investigation. So all these projects are listed down there, and you have to check that, and you have to make sure that the project which you are thinking of buying is not in this. Now when I say all these things, I'm not saying that you have to completely avoid the non-RERA, but the risks has to be ascertained. Okay, and even with RERA also, it is not completely risk-free. There are many other things also which will fall under this purview. So RERA is more of a construction and like a real estate project which is involved in the construction of the and development of the land. But there are many times the question of land itself arises, that I'll explain in the further part of the video, that what are the documents which needs to be checked for those. But yes, so I think RERA is a very important topic for this video, and you have to ensure that you have a complete grip on the RERA Act and the projects in which you have to check the health of the project as per, like whether there is a RERA registration done, and you have to get basically every time a RERA project is registered, there will be a number which will be given that has to be cross-checked, and it can be checked online, and also it can be checked in the local RERA office which falls under the jurisdiction. So that is something which needs to be done. So next is if you are buying, so that was for land, right? So this is now for a building, like you're buying an apartment, or you're buying a builder's floor, or you're buying a constructed villa, or whatever you're buying. So in that cases, what you have to do is you have to get the building plan sanction. Okay, so building plan sanction is usually issued by BBMP or BDA or the village panchayat where you're buying the property. Okay, so that's what you need to get first, and you have to make sure that the survey numbers are accurately depicted on that, because all the lands are guided by that. Okay, then comes khata. Okay, so if you want to know, I am going to just brush through khata, and if you want to know more details about khata, you need to visit my channel, and I have a detailed video about ek khata, bi khata and all those things. So what is khata basically? Khata is a very famous word, but it just means account. Okay, so when you say account, like what account? So it's an account which you hold with the local governing authorities, like your BBMP or BDA, or Bayapa, or any village panchayats. So that is where you hold. So it's basically, khata is Karnataka Municipal Corporation Act 1976 is what is going to give a complete detail about khata. Okay, so if you want to know more about it, then I would suggest you to take the bare act of that act and go through each and everything what is mentioned. But here I'm just going to brush through it. I won't be going in very much detail. So it basically means that every property has to be aligned to some kind of governing authority. Why? Because your sanitation, your water, your electricity, everything is coming in detail with it. Okay, so that's the reason why we have the word khata, and it's very famous, like we say, oh, khata certificate and all those things. But it just means that you have an account with the BBMP, and what are the things which the BBMP has agreed to give you, and there are like multiple things also, that A khata, B khata, and revenue sites and stuff. So there is no B khata basically, there is only A khata. Why there was a B khata is because it was kind of like a twist to the, like, because there were like lot of layouts which were formed without the proper approvals, and that's the reason why the government came up with B khata thing. But B khata doesn't guarantee you anything. It doesn't guarantee all these sanitation, electricity and all those things. It's basically, it's not a recognized property. Okay, so that's the reason why B khata was formed. Revenue sites, actually revenue sites are very common. Revenue sites basically means that it belongs to the Gram Panchayat, but there are a lot of laws regarding to it, like in the sense, like there's only a percentage of land which you can take for the construction of any building and stuff. So we need to look at those things also if you're buying revenue sites. Okay, so that's a entirely different topic about revenue site, buying farmlands and all those things, and it involves a lot more laws actually when you're buying a farmland and when you're buying a revenue site, because you have to look at many acts also come into that play. One is like many land laws, what is there, and land conversion acts which were taken place, and also there's one more which is very important, is the Prohibition of SC/ST Lands Act. Okay, so that is also something which you need to look at. You need to look at who is the primary owner of it, and how is the flow, and you need to get a complete grip of that SC/ST Prohibition of Conversion of Lands Act. You have to get a complete grip on that act to understand how the conversion happens. And many people, what they do is they blanketly avoid SC and ST, the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes lands, means the lands which were once held by them, they're like blanketly avoided. That's what they do. You don't have to do that. You have to make sure that that's the reason why I told you, like, that's a comprehensive analysis what your advocate will do for you, and to ensure that the land is really yours. So basically those are the things which comes under purview when you're buying farmlands or agricultural lands or even revenue sites. Okay. Next is Khata certificate. I already told you that's a certificate what you get. So what is Khata extract? Khata extract is basically, it's issued by BBMP, okay, or any zonal office. So what you have to do is you have to go to the assistant revenue officer of your BBMP zonal office, or you can actually go for any authority which is governing authority. Where are you under? Are you under Gram Panchayat, or are you under what authority is governing you? So you have to go there and you can get a Khata extracts. Okay, so together with Khata certificate and Khata extract, it's basically a Khata. That's what they say. Next is encumbrance certificate. Okay, what is encumbrance certificate? Encumbrance certificates means it's a certificate of records of all registered transactions over the property. That is sale, mortgage, court attachment, lease, etc. Any of those which is done already on that. This is a primary document which you need to get, because this will tell you whether the property is under hold of somebody else. See, when a builder buys a property, many people are like having a misconception on this. Many builder, when they buy a property, they will not be having the money for the construction, okay? Because when it's like, even while putting a foundation for an apartment itself costs crores of rupees, right? So when you do that, when like crores of rupees as in like for very big apartments, okay? So but if, for example, like small apartments maybe under 50 may be in lakhs, but still nevertheless we cannot expect that the builder has this money. So many a times what happens is the builder will pledge that that land to the bank to get some loan on it for the construction purposes, which will be repaid in the future. But when you're assessing the property, you can actually get out of those these kind of problems if you have an advocate administering your sale deed and your all the deeds which you have, the interactions which you have with the builder. So in that case, what happens? The property which you own, the share which you own, will be safeguarded. So your deeds what you have with each other, your agreements what you have with each other, has to be completely secure. Completely secure as in you have to be protected in all the degrees, 360 degrees. And even in encumbrance certificate, it does show that the property is mortgaged, or the property is on, there's a loan on that property and all those things. So there's a different levels of assessment which needs to be done on that property to see the value of the property and to see the value of the money which has been built and what is your liability towards it and all those things. It comes with many aspects. Now if I try to explain this, okay, because since you want to know everything about this, let me try to explain to you in a very brief nutshell. Imagine that we have a land worth of 100 rupees, okay, and you cannot get land for 100 rupees. It's just a hypothesis, okay, it's just an example. Imagine there's a land of worth 100 rupees, and you're going to the builder is going to buy, he's going to mortgage on that land, or he's going to take a loan on that land for maybe 20 rupees, okay, if you say like that. So then your liability on that, the liability which you have on that is far lesser than if he takes 100 rupees, like exact 100 rupees on that. If he takes that, no banks will give that, but if he takes maximum, basically, if he takes maximum amount on that land, then there will be a maximum risk associated with it, okay. So now if you think about it, should we really avoid all the properties which have something on it, on the encumbrance certificate? It's not possible, because it's a very natural phenomena where unless somebody is like a really established builder, usually the builders will go for a loan on the construction or the development. They do it. Okay, so that is not something which you need to worry about. What you need to worry about is the like how much the extent of the loan which has been drawn on that land. That is one you need to worry about. Second is like what is the phase? What is the phase, as in phase of construction? If it's really in the beginning phase, then you can actually not worry about it. But if it is in the later, then you have to be like little bit vigilant about how you're going to get it, how you are going to get out of that liability basically. And also the agreements what you have with your builder plays a very important and crucial role in this. Your agreement should be absolute, and it should not involve you in any kind of liability which the builder has taken on his side. So that can be safeguarded through many documents and many clauses which needs to be attached with your agreement with the builder, and that can be done through an advocate only. I will not suggest you to do by yourself to safeguard that, because you will not have the understanding of all the laws which are prevailing right now and all the laws which are in 360 degrees governing this property, because there are many laws which comes into this place, and you have to make sure that everything is covered. Or another suggestion is you all join the law degree and get it, you learn it and then do it for yourself. That is also something which you can do. Or you can pay for your advocate and then get all this done. And advocates also, you have to make sure that they are completely knowledgeable on this area. Only then you will be safeguarded. Otherwise, really some of the things which are there, those are risks, and it can anytime blow up, and your property can land in the litigation. All right, next is tax paid receipts. Okay, so this is important. Usually they pay taxes. Taxes will not be an issue, because unless they pay the taxes, the development will not happen. So that's that. And then next one is PTCL endorsement. PTCL endorsement is Prevention of Transfer of Certain Lands Act. Okay, so that is something which only the local DC or the Tehsildar can issue this document. So you have to go and get that and ensure that it is not belonging to any SC and ST communities, as I told before. Okay, that is something which you need to get. Next is land acquisition. So you have to make sure that there is an endorsement of a special land acquisition officer of BDA, BBMP, National Highways Authority of India. They are in that zone. And Karnataka Industrial Area Development Board, KIADB, if you're buying any kind of industrial property, and Karnataka Housing Board, or Bangalore Mysore Infrastructure Corridor Project. So those are few things which I can think of. So all these things are the authorities with whom you are going to check, and you need to get sure. And how will you know that which authority to approach to is depending on the location of your land. And the final very important part, okay. So these are the 50% of the litigations which happen. All this whatever I mentioned, it's 50%. Okay, it's 50% as in 50% of all the cases of litigation cases which comes to the court will be usually because of any issues in these. Other 50%, which is the major part, is family tree. Yes. So family tree basically means most of the properties are ancestral properties which has been transferred from one generation to other. Okay, and all these ancestral properties are governed by personal laws. Personal laws as in Hindu law or Mohammedan law, Christian law. So there are many laws belonging to certain religious sects. So in Hindu law, I think Sikhs also will come under this. Sikhs, Jains, Buddhists also come under Hindu law. But others have special laws which is governing them, and they have their own law of ancestral property being levied. Okay, when we say ancestors, even in Hindu law also there's like two, Dayabhaga and Mitakshara. Okay, most of our system is governed by Mitakshara, but Dayabhaga, I think West Bengal and other regions are coming under that. So we have to have a complete understanding of the Mitakshara system. Now it's getting more technical. What is Mitakshara system? Mitakshara system is like, as per Hindu law, there's a ancestral property gets divided in a certain way. there's a portion which gets attached to every person whom if a head of the family dies, the property which he holds gets divided in certain degrees, okay, and it flows on as in, like, the wife will get a certain percentage, the kids, sons will get a certain percentage, daughters will get a certain percentage, the sons of daughters, or daughters of daughters, sons and daughters of sons, wives of sons, all of them get a share. Okay, so that's it. This is the actually the one thing in my law degree when I was studying which actually made me in fact fall in love with this kind of like a Hindu law is the calculations. Actually, we used to get like a mathematical calculations as to understand like who gets how much share. Okay, so only those persons who have a complete understanding about how the share is being divided among the people, only they will be able to help you out in this kind of situation. Okay, now I know you'll be thinking like, oh, she is promoting advocates. So no, I'm not doing that. I'm not here for that, because in fact lawyers are not allowed to promote our services actually as per the law. So this is basically an awareness as in, many a times it so happens that to save a few pennies we will lose thousands of rupees. It's exactly that scenario. This is just an awareness. You can have a family advocate of yourself, and you can approach the family advocate and get all these things rectified. This in any way is not a promotional video. It is a completely informational based video. And yes, family tree, as I said, it's not like a Brahma Vidya that you can't learn it. Okay, you can learn it too. There are many online is like a guru, right? So you can actually learn family tree and how it gets divided, and based on certain religions also, because I think in Mohammedan law the wives don't have the share. So all these things are there which needs to be addressed and which needs to be analyzed before you make a decision of buying the property. Okay, so I hope you are clear with like I have explained everything which does come under this, and there are few certain things which also come under this. I'm not going to go in detail, like for example pollution board and BWSSB and all those things, that and all I'm not going too much in detail, because that's all related to your khata. Okay, so what kind of khata you hold, it's related to that, and that is part and parcel of that. Okay, it's not something, but you need to ensure that those certifications are there, like pollution control board certifications and these, and so all these are included in the total document set which you get, like a big file. You must be thinking like, how does anybody go through that? But as a lawyer we need to, as an advocate we have to go through everything which is there in that file, and to make sure that our client is protected in all the way. So yes, I think here I'll conclude my video. If you have any questions, use the comment box below, and I know I kept most of you people waiting on this video. It's just that this is a very robust topic that I wanted to get like a proper time and proper research before I even present it to you, because I don't want to tell something which is not true. Okay, so I want to end, and I'm trying to be as much, making sure that you are making a well-informed decision when you're buying a property. So be safe, be legally safe. Until my next video, I'll see you, and take care.